I sent out a survey asking people to send me stories of things that had happened to them in Hong Kong. Some wrote back asking if I was looking for a particular theme, and I said, no, anything goes. Just tell me exactly where it happened because I want to go. And so I went. I went and took all these stories and tried to organize them in an order that made sense because, well, you see, I had this idea that I would take all these different stories that people wanted to share, and then somehow that I can't quite explain, there would be, I don't know, like a thread or something that they have in common, and then I could work with that. But I ended up in front of my table and my post-it wall and not really knowing how to deal with it. It was late in the afternoon, beginning of the summer. It had been a really hot day, so I had the aircon on. But I was starting to get cold. You know, the thing with aircon is we really do need it because it can get really, really hot. Yet I struggle to understand how some people love the feeling of walking into a shop or a mall and getting hit by this wave of artificial cold air that it just freezes you to the bone. It's not like real air, which is why I like fans better. Fans are more realistic, like this one here. It stands still and then if I turn it on, suddenly there's wind blowing all over the place. Yeah, maybe I should turn it up, but of course the only difference is that the fans, as you can see, I can turn them off whenever I want, whereas Hong Kong's wind is a whole different story. It's like the Chinese say, 说下雨,就下雨, which, well, it literally means you say it rains down, and so it rains down. And they use the phrase to show the unpredictability of the weather, but the actual sentence structure, you can actually use it in different contexts. For example, you can say, you forget, then you forget. And that means you forget all of a sudden. And I think it's interesting because of the power they give to the word say, as if words had some sort of supernatural strength that could just summon rain. So I'm going to tell you how it happened. I'm going to tell you the story of what happened to their stories after they wrote them. So I was in that room with boxes and pieces of paper, and it was like 20-25% their stories and city leftovers and some superficial gossip I couldn't help overhear, some stolen art and late night fear, and the rest just some empty space whose owner has no name. And I started by looking at them from different angles. You know, sometimes when you're trying to find something to say, you just have to look at everything else that people want to share and actually look at them from different angles, physical angles, and looking for patterns. And you can also try shuffling them really quickly without thinking, you know, even with your eyes closed, hoping that maybe just like with rain, I can say makes sense, and then they make sense. But not even that was working. So I asked around and I did some research, and the there's this technique, it's called the cut-up technique. I know, very creative. But it was created during the Dadaism movement, and then it was the writer William Burroughs who really made it famous, and then David Bowie actually used it for his songs. You know, he would take words and put them in a bowl, and then just take two at random, and then he would write a song with that. You get the idea. And I did tell you, the show was part stolen art, so what happens if I cut them? It feels weird, and I mean, I don't want to sound pretentious, like I'm taking these stories and I'm tearing them apart. They are people's stories, but sometimes you have to and then the technique is that you actually slide them next to each other, you know, like that. And then you read two sentences that usually don't go together. So you can do, this, as we later discovered, cost me a shooting the cow away with a stick would do. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but the real question is, how can I take these stories and tear them apart like noodles until they become so thin that we can tangle them together and they taste good. I mean, the real question is, how far can I go until they begin to lose meaning? Burroughs did say that writing is the art of mixing words that you've heard, read, and overheard. And then I had an idea. I could make a list. I could make a list of all their stories. We'll put them here. You gotta remember those are their stories because they all look very similar. And then my stories, we'll put them here. And then a third list of our stories together. But then that would be so confusing because how do you know which one's which? Oh, this might even be worse, but how about a list of all the stories that have ever happened? And then another list of all the stories that have never happened but could have happened. And then a third list of all the stories that could have never happened but we still sort of wish they did. And then it would be so overwhelming because when does something that is happening right now become a story, and it would just be a never-growing pile of paper. So think about the trees and the environment. But we've got some time, so at least we could try. We could try with one old lady feeding pigeons, or one Temple Street, a fake road. No, that sounds like the title of one of those avant-garde, over-the-top art pieces that no one really understands, but we all fakely do. News. Oh, news from another part of the world. Let's try that. Too factual? Oh, I know. This one. 2. A bunch of 7th graders 4 years ago taking a shopping cart and driving to McDonald's with it, shouting like lunatics. Well, that's better. Sounds more exciting. Let's see what else. 3. A man who loves found t-shirts with Mr. Happy prints on them. I was honestly very amused by that one. Like, is he Mr. Happy exclusive, or does he also take Mr. Sad prints and Mr. Angry prints? Or how about Mr. This is just my resting face sort of prints? That's a good question. That was anonymous though, so I'll never ask him and we'll never know. Shops that sell everything but what you need. And 5, empty chairs at a bus stop on the road. Have you seen those? It is the kind of thing I've only ever seen in this city. Nowhere else do people have so many extra chairs. How do they get them there though? Like, do people secretly bring them out in the night and just place them? Or is there like a special Hong Kong Chair Association and they run monthly surveys and figure out what bus stops are in need of new chair donations? Just wondering. One more. Buildings as high as needles. Shining in the night and they make it harder and harder to breathe. Now that's good. It sounds a bit more like a motif. We can work with that, so keep your eyes open for that one. You have to go far though. You have to go really far to see them fully. You know, sometimes you get there and all you can hear is that usual buzz of the city, like at a cafe where people are talking and in the back there's some sort of music, but you can't really tell what it is because it blends in with the gossip, you know, the snippets of things they see and sounds they hear, but never fully. Never fully. Anyway, and these are just fragments. It really shouldn't make a difference if I tear them apart, but I'm still not sure because, like, do I have the right to do that? But what is the point of having full sentences when we can't make something out of it? We better tear them apart and rearrange them, these thin strips of life, ripped from other people. Oh, there I go again with my disturbing imagery, but what else could be said? I don't like hedging my words, and to be honest, I had gotten to the point where I began to lose it. I'm trying to talk to you, but words crumble in my mouth. They refuse to come out. They're stranded, lost between what I felt was important and what I can't forget. Between what they've written and what I needed to say. I mean, they're lost in the space between me and you. What, 2, 3, 4 meters? I wish I could throw them at you, my thoughts, like a thought projectile. Maybe they would pierce you, but thought projectiles are still in the pipeline of things to be invented, so I've got no option. I've got to take these thoughts and soak them in moldy language, a language that warps around them and that can turn truth into lies and lies into truth, spinning things around like a giant, invisible whirlwind. not. Let's not make a list. Instead, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna stand right here and tell you that all I've been trying to do is stay true to their stories, to the city, to her bloodshot eyes, and I've just been trying to find a way to tell you that, and I just can't find it. So I might as well just pour water over myself so that at least that feels more expected. Like waking up from a nightmare, or waking up by surprise in the middle of the rain, and for a split second, everything else you were thinking about just washes away. It's cleansed, and you can breathe again. And all that is left is a slice of undeniable truth, because we cannot ignore the fact that I am dripping wet. So please don't stare at me like I'm crazy. Come on. It's rude to stare. Watch the ink, it's spreading. Soon I won't be able to read it. Maybe I will, but not completely. The ink just keeps fading and bleeding onto my fingers, and all that is left are ghosts of the liquid words.
Time when I found the human tooth down on the Lime Sea. Hey, remember that time when we decided to kiss anywhere except the mouth? Hey, remember that time when my favorite colors was pink and green? Hey, remember that month when I only ate boxes of tangerines, so cheap and juicy?
Reorganizing piles and pouring water over myself was not working. So I tried making something that could help me see the places after I had gone and visited them. And it's insane what you can make with bamboos. Have you not seen the way people just stagger them overnight, and then all of a sudden there's entire buildings covered and you can no longer see them? Okay, let's find a way to start. Once I was... Have I told you? Oh, I like that start. It kind of sounds like gossip, but not annoying gossip, you know, more like late at night type of gossip. When you lose all filter and words just spill out of your mouth like black rain, you know, rushing down one of those old buildings. Have I told you about them? The ones with, let's put this here first, with lines and lines of hanging clothes the color of breakfast cereals that extend all the way to the sky, and you can actually see whose tiny apartment owns what line. And then, if you keep walking, you can see the old buildings transform into new modern ones, and it goes back and forth in one single street. It's new, old, new. Wait, you wrote about that too. You know, the one about the old house in Central? think I have a recording.
The house at the end of Conduit Road, I googled it, it was called Chatter Hall, and I was always taken by this house because I'd walk my dog by it and I'd see all the windows boarded up, and it was designed by like the most famous architect of the time, like totally like, you know, oriental, beautiful, like Hong Kong. But then in the 50s, it mysteriously burned down. This giant marble, beautiful house, all of it just burned down. And now all that's left are the caretaker's house, which is what's that old boarded up stuff. That was just the caretaker's house that they sort of rebuilt.
So I went and walked all through Central, up the mid-level escalator, turned right on Conduit Road, and when I got to number 1, there was just a normal looking old building. No magnificent gardens or marble halls, no mud, no destruction, no ghosts, no stories, just a parking lot and a house that, to be honest, had very little to say about Hong Kong's past. So I took a few pictures for reference and I turned around. A few blocks down, I came across this other building, this time dark and old and completely covered with weeds and flowers. So I went into the parking lot and through the door. I kept going up the stairs, completely fascinated by the feeling of intruding an abandoned place. Then came the whistles. From one roof to the other, 2 men had all unleashed their secret code for intruders. I ran as fast as I could. The lady in the kitchen, through the door. I turned around and for a split second I see 2 men chasing me with butcher knives out of the dark kitchen and into the first mall I could find. Wait, no, stop. That's not how it happened. Let me remember. So I went and walked all through Central. Central is that way, up the mid-level escalator, turned right on Conduit Road, and when I got to number 1, there was just a normal-looking old building with nothing inside but the remainings of a landslide, and to the right, a cow. Just a mammal taking a day trip to the city. Of course, that's not what happened. I'm just mixing stories now. It was not a cow, it was just a pile of trash and an open door. So I went in. Graffiti on the floor, a strange human smell. The walls were so thin, they felt as if I could just grab them and they would crumble like paper. To the left, I could see the entrance to the basement, and to my right, another room. So I went in. And in the center, there was this basket. A basket completely covered with spotless fuchsia satin, and I thought, someone must live here, because it was too perfect, too well placed, I don't know, it didn't fit. And then I heard the scream. It came from the basement. No time to think. My legs were working before they were going. It stepped over a bunch of dead leaves or moths. Never mind. I can't tell you that all of that is true. Maybe I had tried too hard to separate truth from the lies, to highlight what I thought was important, and then the whole story just turned me on. And it was harder to tell the place where I was and the time. It's always hard to tell the time in the city after dark. There's no stars. I used to, well, my sister and I used to imagine that they were stolen and turned into street signs, you know, wrapped around in neon lights. And don't get me wrong, I wish it was true. I wish all of it was true. I wish something like that had happened, something unexpected, something where life is at stake, where things are broken and only what's important is left. Maybe it is what happened. No, not to me, but to someone else. Maybe you're sitting there thinking, that was me. And it could if I kept changing it. You know, at some point it would become part of your memory. Your mind playing tricks on you, blurring the ink of the past, making sure that nothing but your body stays the same. And not even that, forcing you to look for, to find, to go back.
Somewhere in the city, somewhere, sometime in the city, sometime in this city, find, go on, find, go on, find, a man with the wrong shoes, find, somewhere, lost, shoes with the wrong man, go on, should I still call, somewhere, sometime, do you remember? Do you remember? Go, find, something made out of gold, find, story of the young bear, find, how can you forget, go on, find, a man who lost found t-shirts, find, somewhere, lost, a shirt who lost found men, go on, find out, follow the map, try to remember how it was.
We could go back, but no. Leave it there. Next section, something from my pile. We haven't done that, and you know, my past is always there. I'll be reading their stories, and then in my head they're connecting to my stories. You see how it's so confusing? Would it be? No, it would be the same. You know, in the end, it is your imagination that ends up filling the blanks. It's got more information, not just text and images. So, I don't know if just because I'm telling you that this is my memory, then it'll be easier for you to believe, or if on the contrary, for the same reason, it'll be more difficult. I don't know. Just watch it, okay? I'll tell you how it was. It's getting late and I'm losing filters, so I'll tell you exactly how it was. We kissed real slow. Slower than ripples, and I felt like I was touching the stars. Except there's none in Hong Kong, we've established that. Wait. Idea. How would you like the memory? Your mind will recreate it one way or another, so why don't we redesign it? Let's give the memory some plastic surgery. Let's see. Wait. What filter do you like? Clarendon? Slumber? Or Nashville? No, Nashville's good. Wait. You think it needs higher exposure? Black and white? No, that's like too artsy. Wait, what do you think? Nah. Better Nashville. Nashville. Isn't that the name of the city? Oh, whatever, I'll just post it later. Oh, this reminds me of the time she told me all kept spinning and spinning. She also told me you miss me. Do you really? Remember when we got lost in the city? And when we would hide in your roof and everything would look lighter, like layers and layers of light dots. Do you remember the rain, the puddles, the cars? Remember the light, the leaves floating by? Damn it, I can't capture that. Oh, or the night we made out against that parking lot wall, and then afterward my butt had just 2 perfectly symmetrical black circles. Would you say I loved you? Or would that be a lie? How to remember that? Oh wait, don't tell me, don't tell me how to remember that night. How to remember the light, the rain, your eyes, and when your mind became blurry and you couldn't tell why, when you couldn't stay still and you escaped from the past. How the hell do you capture that? It's no use. I mean, their stories, my stories, your stories. Same problem. I know we're running out of time, but it's a mix between me not wanting to tell you but having to, and I'm just gonna keep typing it. Wait, we gotta go back. We gotta go back to the start because I just can't tell you here. So forget everything, okay? Go back to the table and some boxes and got it? There was no extra light. Can you turn the light off, please? Thank you. And just go back, okay? Go back. Now, this part has no jokes or unexpected occurrences, but you know, I had read past the guy walking in Pacific Place with only half his suit on and the baby eating Doritos, the cow running in circles with stolen underwear between its big cow teeth. had read past all of that, and I couldn't stop staring at the word rape. It was so distant. A line written in a survey by a person I don't know, a person you don't know. But how can I ignore it? I think there's a difference between what we want to hear and what needs to be said. I've moved past that, she says. I've moved past that. I imagine how she fights it. How she fights it and tries to drive the memory away, but it bites deeper. No words, just ink spilling like blood over everything and everyone around her, and memories creeping like ghosts, staining her mind and flooding the city with darkness and thunder so loud she can't even type it. It's too much. She can no longer swallow it, and she tried to hide it, but she forgot about the fake lights. The ones in the heart of the city, the buzzing ones, the ones that flicker and hurt your eyes if you stare at them for too long. She forgot you can't hide in the city. Not tonight. Not when the lights are out. I don't understand. And then all she can see is their shadows. So she lets go. And then the house and the place where it happened. His face on her face and the power. Imagine the power. It blends into the noise of that city. And she then freezes her memory right before the ultimate mistake and imagines standing up for herself and saying to him, "Not today." And she didn't say all of that. These are just my scribbles, just zeros and ones, but I think truth is not stable. Truth is like rain. it washes away when we remember. And I don't know who you are or where you are. You could be sitting there sinking onto your seat and unsure about how to feel, but I mean, I do know some of you, but it must have taken so much courage. Even if it was just one line, it must have been so hard. And she knew, I mean, I said so in the survey in bold, that I was probably going to share whatever was sent. So is it truth that we're scared of, or truth on the run? Truth in the mouth of others, gossip like poison. And I could have left it in the back of my mind, focused on the cows and the laughs, but what am I playing at? It is a game of words that I've heard, read, and overheard, but the right ones are so hard to come by. They slip away like rain. Like rain. And I mean, I don't want to get soaked again, so I've taken her story and filled in the blanks and tried to map it out so that at least we don't ignore it. Your story is now part of the film rolling in your mind. At some point, you will start to remember it, and so a new story will begin to breathe. So it's all down to your memory now, how light, how dark. I leave it up to you. Remember when I told you about your thoughts washing away like rain and all that? That's exactly what happened then. You know, that city, that sky, that person, they all began to blur. And their stories, my past, they became just tales. Untangled tales, mesh pulled down, just pieces of truth on the ground. Mere words, mere language. I mean, they're only symbols that go back to the beginning of time, and that without you and I to witness them, they mean nothing. Just flashes of light that you stared at for too long, and when you close your eyes, you can still sort of see them. But then it all blurs away. Well, no, it doesn't all blur away. I know I said that, but now that I'm thinking about it, it doesn't, because these things did happen in our minds or in real life, but they happened. They're not just tales or mere language. Tales are strong. They don't mean we erase the narrative or forget the pain. It's just we've lived through them and moved on to new ones, new stories that inside hold bits and pieces, fragments of those other older ones. So we move on. The show no more than a scaffold. When it ends, you'll start to remember it, and so new stories will begin to breathe. This past few months, coming up with the show, working with Darren, it's really what is making the foundation of what I want to do with my life. So they are basically I want to make the remark that although this is a one-woman show, that term, I don't know who invented it, but it's such a lie. We have 15 people and more behind this, so let's get everyone on board. Let me get my phone. I have a list of all the things. All right, so I'm going to start with Darren Scully, my director. Basically the person who has creatively, emotionally, and just artistically in general, he has been my backup. He has understood me when I had no clue of what I wanted to say. And he gives the best feedback. So give it up for Darren. With playing cards. She is amazing. She gets things done, and she was the one who was sitting next to me on the bus ride and said, let's do it. So, Andrea, please. He also made the scaffolds with me, and he's amazing. We tried making the second scaffold 3 times. He made it only once, so. And he works with an amazing group of kids, including Kai, who filmed the entire show. Kai. Grade 8, but he did all the lights tonight, so. Then we have Mathea, who I'm not going to list all the roles that she played in this because we would stay here for a very long time, but she started helping me well into the show, and she became a friend, an ally. She was always there every afternoon. She gave all of her time. She's in grade 12, and she was amazing. So Mathea, please come. She also did sound. My mom. I hired her to be my manager 2 days ago. Although rest will get your speech later, but I will list them and please come forward. Oh, Dylan Halbroth, who wrote all the music and made it. He's currently studying in Berlin, but he wrote all the music all the way from Berlin. So that's even more amazing, and he's probably going to watch this video, so give it up for Dylan! The art outside, that's Ava's. Who is my best? We also had amazing help from Sophia. Sophia.
I hope that you have learned lots along the way in this process. We are still learning how to say no to you. Because, in truth, you remind us why we're here in education, and it's been a real honour to work with you and to help you develop your dreams, your passions, and emerge as the wonderful young artist that you are. So well done.
So what we'll do now, we'll take just a few minutes. So for those of you who are sort of interested in thinking about or asking Valeria and myself about the artistic process, we'll be having a bit of a Q&A based down here. But are drinks still available? Yes, they are. If you'd like to, please feel free to enjoy the rest of the evening, have a drink, come back if you wish. It'll be about 5 minutes when Valeria will be able to wax lyrical about that process. So,
oh, one more thing. This set, you really should read it. It's got some good.
Right, so thank you very much once more.